Welcome, guys, to another episode of the television show that is known as Level 3. And I'm joined today, of course, by... You're not Kirsty.
No, I'm not.
You're not Kirsty, no. Everyone's left us. Everyone's doing their own thing and being cool kids. So we've got new people, because the old people sucked, particularly Jamie. God, everyone hates Darth.
I agree on that one.
You agree on that one? See, straight away, she's understanding right. But your name is Erin. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, Jason.
And you're here because you are, I guess, an industry representative. Wow.
Yes, I've been in the industry for a few years now. I will not say who I work for.
Well, can we say then who you don't work for?
I'll give you that.
So you don't work for Activision, and you don't work for Ubisoft, and you don't work for THQ, you don't work for 2K. Yep, you guys can figure the rest out from there. But the point is, you've worked in different roles. I mean, it's not just for those. You've worked at Tantalus. You've worked at
Yeah, I worked at Tantalus as well. I did 2 roles there. I did QA for a bit, and then I moved up to a design role. Right.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's. I mean. And you were only young, so I mean, you would have had to have been young when you were doing design, which is saying something. So you're one of those like wunderkind designers.
Nah.
No? Okay, but at the moment, obviously, you're still working in the industry. So we've got you to come down and help Aussie out, because Aussie's the student and you're the in the industry, because you can be like a guiding source to like the 35-year-old guy.
Oh, but you do know that AIE is right near my work.
It is. Oh, now you're really giving it away.
I could stalk him.
Well, I'm sure he'd like that, you know. But I'll tell you what, we'll introduce people, I guess, to a little bit like your kind of gaming history, because you're a better gamer than me. And it's not hard, but
exactly.
Your gamer score.
It's not that impressive, but I'm sitting at like 47.
So it's about 10,000 more than me.
Yeah, which isn't hard.
Thank you for that. Okay. Well, what's your favourite game of this generation? Oh, not generation. This year.
Generation. This year would be Bayonetta, hands down.
I would agree with that. I would think that is probably the best game to come out this year. It's funny that Sega had the best game of the year, and then they've had Alpha Protocol, which is probably the worst game of the year. But yeah, I mean, anything else this year kind of take your eye, or?
This year,
yeah.
Vanquish. I'm looking forward to that. I just see that like between Mass Effect and Lost Planet kind of feel, and yeah.
So it's like what, a Mass Planet or Lost Effect? Lost Effect. That'll be what it's called from now on. But I mean, well, okay, that's your one before Christmas. But there's nothing else really that big, is there?
There is Call of Duty, but I didn't really want to mention that.
Modern Warfare 2 by Treyarch.
Yeah.
But all right, well, very quickly, we've got like 20 seconds before we go. Yep. What few games are you looking forward to? Let's go with 2, but you know.
I'm looking forward to The Last Guardian.
Of course, which is Team Eco.
Yep, and the new Studio Ghibli one that's coming out.
So you picked very good choices, so I really haven't got anything to criticise you for. So, well, there you go. Well, that's me and Erin, everybody. Wave to the nice people. And we'll see you guys at the end of the show. Well, at the end of the show, before the links.
Yep.
What? Before the links? What? The end of the links? Whatever. End of the show. You'll get it. You'll find a cut point. That's what you do.
Cool. Cool story.
Cool story, bro.
Okay, come on, stay in shot. Damn it! Boston, why can't you stay in shot? Oh, we're filming. Crap. Hate it when that happens. Yeah, I've got nothing. Kane Lynch 2 Dog Days. It's released on the PS3, PC, and Xbox 360. Kane Lynch 2 takes place a couple of years after the events of the first game. You're now in Shanghai, and you're mostly playing as everyone's favorite balding psychopath Lynch. Except he's not much of a psychopath this time. In fact, he's actually pretty much, well, subdued. I mean, sure, he's still living the life of crime, but he's got a girlfriend, he's taking his medication. Everything's all pretty groovy. And then his old buddy Kane comes to town to help broker an arms deal, and from the moment that the two reunite, things go decidedly pear-shaped. You see, Kane Lynch 2 has got like the greatest story in the world, yet at the same time, it's more just an excuse for Kane Lynch to get into some really, really wacky kind of hijinks. And when I say wacky hijinks, I mean incredibly messed up, warped, foo-barred hijinks.
We all go out for dinner? Lynchy?
Visually, it's probably the biggest strength that Kane Lynch 2 has, because it kind of hides the really kind of lackluster character models in the game. I mean, the best way to kind of describe the visual style is a cross between, you know, the shot on video, you know, kind of really kind of gritty, kind of hard styles of guys like, you know, Paul Greengrass, or even more recent Michael Mann films, mixed in with the sort of this idea that Kane and Lynch are being followed by this guy, you know, or this person, you know, with a phone camera. It's a really interesting idea, and to be honest, the effect is really quite stunning. There really isn't anything out there like that out there. And just watching this game in motion, I mean, don't look at any screenshots. Just watch the game in motion, and the effect is just. It really fits the game. I mean, considering just half the crazy stuff you get into, and half the really kind of dark and grim atmosphere you're into, it really fits the game. I mean, just the way, you know, artifacting is used, the way cutscenes are framed, the way just everything's sort of put together. It's really quite a stunning effect. And honestly, if you have any reason to check out this game, that's the reason why you should check it out. But that being said, if you have any hint of motion sickness, do not even look at this game. Either turn on the Steadicam options or don't even look at the game, because I assure you, within the first few minutes, you are really going to start feeling sick. I know I did. So, in that regard, 7 out of 10. Sound-wise, again, it's actually really quite good. I mean, the gun sound effects are really quite great, you know, kind of loud, kind of chunky, really satisfying stuff to hear. There's no music which kind of fits in with the whole, you know, it's because it fits in the whole kind of, you know, gritty kind of atmospheric kind of vibe. Again, which fits. And even the voice acting, of all things, actually really does work. Admittedly, the dialogue isn't that great, but sort of the delivery of the lines, and sort of the camaraderie that Kane and Lynch kind of have with one another, talking to one another, it really works. There's no way I can really kind of describe it. So, in this regard, 7 out of 10. And now we come to the gameplay, and oh my goodness, this is where the game just completely falls apart. For the most part, it just feels like a really kind of underdeveloped third-person shooter. I mean, sure, you know, the gunplay is kind of satisfying, and there's some neat mechanics. The fact, you know, you can get knocked down, you can always just take people out, or you can even, you know, just get up and cover. That little stuff all works fine. It's just, there are some just weird gameplay design decisions that I'm baffled at. Like, the ability, there's no melee in the game, which, to be honest, is more just a gripe in the way I play those kinds of games. But it really would have been nice to have, you know, that option. The fact that the game has no variety too also really does not work at all. I mean, from the start of the game to the end of the game, it's just, you know, you start at one point of the level, you end at one point, killing a whole bunch of dudes in the way. That's it. I mean, sometimes, you know, you may get an objective, you know, to protect this dude or kill this dude. But to be honest, that's the extent of it. And then there's the actual length of the game. You can beat the game in about 3 hours or so. Maybe a little bit more than that, but it's short. It's really short. And admittedly, kind of given what, you know, the game is kind of going for and the story and all that, it makes sense. But at the same time, if you're plonking down full price for this, yeah, it's kind of a hard thing to swallow. That being said, though, I didn't get a chance to check out the multiplayer, which I hear is actually meant to be really good, if only because I like the idea of trust as a mechanic, and gameplay videos do show some promise. I didn't get a chance to play it out myself, if only because, well, I couldn't really get into a game. But aside from that, though, the game just feels really underdeveloped, so it's really just average to me, so 5 out of 10. Overall, I give Kane and Lynch 2 a 6 out of 10. There are better options for third-person shooters out there, but if you want an experience that is really quite unlike anything it looks unlike anything you've seen before, definitely check the game out. Honestly, if anything, just check it out for the visual style, and hope to help the more people kind of, you know, do it, because it really is quite something. That being said, though, I think I better go back to my little kind of motion picture epic here with my phone camera. Maybe I might release it for episode 200, maybe I might not, who knows.
And welcome back to Gifts for the Geek, and I'm joined once more by Beaver. That's right, the name we're sticking by.
Nice to see you again.
Yeah, it's good to be back. And now we have on show a selection of what will be available at this year's Armageddon Festival. Is that correct?
Got a very small selection. The amount of stuff that's at these events is very hard to... We're just giving you a rough idea tonight.
All right, so let's have a look what we've got. The one thing that really stands out for me is the Stargate coffee holders.
The coasters,
The coasters, that's the word.
Very cool. The Stargate coffee coasters in the shape of the Stargate, obviously, what they travel through. This year's Armageddon, there's 2 guests from the Stargate show going to be there. Mm-hmm. So Stargate merchandise will always be, you know, very heavy, but out of all the merchandise, these are my favourite.
I just love them. So does it actually materialise your coffee cup out of nowhere and send it back in time?
It would be handy to have one at the fridge and one in the front room and just bring your beer through, but...
It would just make it so much handier, most definitely. But we've also got some of the graphic novels as well.
Well, you've got to remember, Armageddon primarily started off as a comic book convention. There's a lot of comic book artists at the event. Daniel Way, who writes Deadpool's going to be there. We're all big Deadpool fans, so there's going to be a massive selection of graphic novels. Hellblazer, probably one of my favorites of all time.
Yeah, I've heard good things about that.
Hellblazer is brilliant, but there's another one out there called The Boys, which is one of the most brutal, messed up comics you're ever going to read. And the guy that writes it, Derek Robinson, he's going to be at Armageddon for. We're a bit excited about that.
Do you want to shake his hand, or are you a little bit scared to shake his hand?
Yeah, we're kind of wondering where he gets these ideas from, but it's really funny because the comic actually features Simon Pegg before Simon Pegg was famous. They saw his face, liked it, bought the rights to his face, thinking he would never become famous. And then Shaun of the Dead hit. So he's in there, but it's cool.
So we've also got a statue here, a Battlestar Galactica statue.
Well, Battlestar is always popular, especially in our community. The Cylons, no matter what form they take, are always very popular, whether it's the cool robots or whether it's the Sexy Six. So there'll be a lot of Battlestar stuff there as well.
I've also noticed some of the novels as well. So these novelizations, or are these actually like brand new storylines?
These are brand new stories. This is the Torchwood and Doctor Who series. You got to remember, Doctor Who is a Time Lord, so from week to week we watch his adventures on television, but in between he can have 30 adventures. And this is what they've sort of picked up on that, and they've written sort of one-shot adventures in novel form. They're cool.
Oh, gee, well, there's definitely a really, really wide selection here. I see I think there's that a comic book I see in front of you?
On the end, just comic magazines. There's always a whole pile of magazines, about comics, about what's coming up in comics. This is the American one. There's a UK one that'll be there. The Armageddon events are designed purely to go geek crazy. There's anime stuff there. There's comic book stuff there. There's sci-fi stuff there. A lot of video game stuff there.
Yes. Well, speaking of sci-fi, an amazing Star Trek.
So
artwork.
A good friend of ours called Stuart McKenney, who's a comic book artist, works for DC. He's here in Brisbane. He does commission pieces for us. He gives commission pieces, and this is one that he's done for us. Limited edition to the 70 of them. They're all hand numbered and hand signed, and he's doing a Stargate one for us and a few other stuff. But they're just a beautiful gift, especially with Christmas coming up. Stick it under the tree.
Well, yeah, they come framed and everything. Is that correct?
That's exactly right.
Oh wow! So this is going to be again a small selection. What other kind of items can we expect to see in Armageddon?
Well, Armageddon, speaking from our booth, we'll a couple of weeks ago we talked about the belt buckles and the bags and all that kind of stuff. So there'll be a massive range of that there, massive range of T-shirts, hoodies, action figures, costumes, all sorts of crazy stuff.
Costumes, how fun!
Yeah.
Well, anyway, moving on to Armageddon. So Armageddon's going to be in Melbourne on October the 16th and 17th, but it's also going around Australia as well.
That's right. Well, we're actually at the back end of the year for the Armageddon, so it does Melbourne and then shoots off to New Zealand. It comes back into Australia next year in February, doing Sydney, Adelaide, Tasmania, then back to Melbourne.
And Tasmania as well.
Tasmania's getting a look in next year, yeah.
So that's all right then. But yeah, so it's going to be Armageddon 16th and 17th of October. All the information is on the Armageddon website, which is Armageddon Expo in Google, I guess is the easiest way. There's also would be some information about Gifts for the Geek on the Gifts for the Geek website, about where you're going to be, because you're definitely going to be there the whole weekend.
We'll be there. We're hosting a couple of the guests this year, so we'll be there.
Oh, gee, well, yeah, lots of guests, sci-fi guests, all different kind of people are coming through. Level 3 is going to try and be there. We'll be around there taking creepy photos. But it's definitely been great to have you with us. Thanks for bringing in this little selection. So there's going to be a much broader selection of things. Don't forget to check it out. Check you out on the internet. Check us out on the internet. And thanks very much again.
Pleasure, Chris.
Thank you.
Now, there's been a lot of support behind the Civilisation series that has been around since Drunky played it on the Amiga. Now, we've got Civ 5, which is done by Fireaxis Games and developed by 2K. Now, I've only played a little bit of Civilisation 4, so I'm kind of new to the series, but at least I can give it a fresh look into this highly regarded series of turn-based strategy. Now, people hold this in really high regard, especially our IRC moderator, Clone Trooper, and I know he's going to hate me for not playing Civ 4 first, but personally I've just loved Civ 5 so far, and I do know the differences, so I will be able to point them out in this review. Now, the overall objective of the game, as in the other Civilization games as well, is to take over the world. Now, you can choose your different civilizations. There's about 11 or 12 of them. I started off with Napoleon Bonaparte. I don't know how I ended up being a cheese-eating surrender monkey, but it was just the default. So there's 4 ways you can win the game in Civ 5. You can get a diplomatic victory, in which you create your own UN type of thing in the modern ages. You've got militaristic victory, where you just wipe out your enemies. Scientific victory, where you go and colonize Alpha Centauri, but that's only at the very end of the game. And the cultural victory, which is actually new to this game, Civ 5. So after you've, instead of your religion in Civ 4, you choose and adopt a social policy, and you can upgrade like a tech tree. And once you get to the end of that tech tree, you can open up a utopia project. So when you specialize in one ideology, you can have your own idealistic utopia that you can live in for your many turn-based strategies to come. Now, we can get to see if Civ 5 will finally take the throne from this genre, from its predecessor Civ 4. Now, Firaxis has had 5 years since the release of Civ 4 to work on their new graphics engine, and it has really paid off. All the terrain and oceans looks really good, and just the new bright colour scheme, as well as the really glossy finish, has added that really nice polish and finalising look to that game. Now, they've changed from square tiles in Civ 4 to hexagon tiles. That while that affects the gameplay, it also affects how the terrain is laid out, and it gives it a much more natural look, and it does look really good. Now, the way in which all the civilization leaders are presented, each one has a backdrop when you're talking to them, which sums up their character. Like a tyrant will be standing in front of a burning city with his big sword and look all threatening, whereas Gandhi will be in some green meadow with the wind sweeping and lots of flowers and peaceful and all that sort of stuff. So it does summarise the character up really well, and it does look really good. Now, the extra addition to the graphics in Civ 5 is that there is now a 2D strategic view. So you go out to a flat map, and you see each hexagon tile, which units are on them, what it's producing, and it produces a lot of useful information that you can use. While you won't use it all the time, it is a good tool to have, and it is presented very well. Now, the graphics, I'm going to give an 8 out of 10.
情けない愚か者め。今から叩きのめしてやるぞ。
Now, the sound in an RTS or a strategy title is always a bit hard to judge, because you only really notice it if it's bad. Unless, in the case of StarCraft 2, you've got some really good storytelling and dialogue, which was fantastic. Civ 5 doesn't really focus on that a lot, although the dialogue from all the civilization leaders is great, and all the ambient music in battle is also really well done. Because in like a RTS or strategy title, it's not trying to immerse you or excite you as much as a first or third person game is. So, as I said before, it's a bit hard for the sound to stand out, but what's there was done well. So the sound, 7 out of 10. If StarCraft 2 sums up the RTS genre, then Civilization 5 sums up what a turn-based strategy is meant to be like. Civilization 5 gets a 9 out of 10, and you'll most likely be seeing me playing it on Steam for the weeks to come.
Cool story, bro.
Cool story.
Cool story. Well, end of another episode of Level 3. Thank you again for joining me, because everybody bailed and took off.
Yep.
You're going to do more than just nod, or...? Oh, good. Oh, good. That's fantastic. And this is the first time you've seen Erin, then you haven't been watching our live stream.
Yep.
Because you've been on that, haven't you? You had your inaugural first stream the other day.
Yep, and I was playing Enslaved.
You were, and then the boy took the control
Yes,
off you.
he did.
Yeah, he did, and
No.
then he yelled out, of course, his trademark line, "Women are idiots," and it was pretty lol. It was pretty... But we did get into a little bit of an argument about zombies.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. Now, because we had this big thing about... we won't go into it in detail, because
Yep.
then people won't watch the stream because they don't know what they're missing. But we argued that, like, whether zombies were... Like, how... I hate zombies at the moment. I just can't stand them. And we got into an argument about their implementation in video games.
Yep.
And you were saying that it wasn't as bad as I was making it out to be.
Yeah, it's still a lot of effort for programmers to do it.
Well, I don't know about that. I'm not... well, I'll tell you what, end of the show. But we'll continue this another day. That's why people should watch the stream, isn't it?
Yep.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
See, that's a good plug. Armageddon's coming up.
Yes, it is.
It's what?
16th, I think it is.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the 16th. We should know this. We've obviously had things on today about it, and we're gonna be there. It's gonna be awesome, and it's gonna be pretty rocking. I don't know. Yeah.
I won't be there.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. I'll be there then. Well, thanks again, guys, for seeing. Wave goodbye to the nice people. Thank you, Erin. Bye. Bye. And should we do the tomorrow?
I don't know that song.
Oh, fine, whatever.
I'm sorry.